Hello, my name is Tanmay Bakshi. I'm 12 years old. I'm in the 7th grade, and I live just outside of Toronto in Brampton, Canada. I am a software developer, IBM Honorary Cloud Advisor, author, algorithmist, keynote speaker, and YouTuber. AskTanmay, an NLQA system. Well, AskTanmay is not just any NLQA system. It's the world's first NLQA system to be powered by IBM Watson's cognitive capabilities. In fact, AskTanmay would not exist without IBM Watson. You could say that AskTanmay's lifeline would be IBM Watson. Now, if you were at IBM Interconnect 2016, you know that I was demoing and keynoting AskTanmay there as well. And if you're wondering what I've updated in these 4 months, well, there's a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. First of all, for those of you who are not at Interconnect, and I'm sure everybody else is impatient to see the source code of AskTanmay and use it for themselves, and so I decided, why wait till early 2017 when I can do that right now? In fact, let's get to that right now. I'm going to go over to my GitHub repository for AskTanmay and make it public. And AskTanmay is now open source. Continuing, though, just before I go today, I'd just like to say, how can AskTanmay benefit the developer community and aspiring coders? Well, first of all, AskTanmay is a launchpad for developers to start off of if they'd like to build their own QA systems on their own data. Also, AskTanmay makes heavy use of IBM Watson. That's actually sort of the brain of AskTanmay, but it's implemented in an extremely simple way. And because it's implemented in an extremely simple way, aspiring Watson API learners or people who are trying to learn things like machine learning or things like that, like cognitive computing, can really use this as a learning resource. Also, AskTanmay is 70% Swift, 20% Java, and 10% Python code. And so, pretty much any developer can use this to start off of as a learning resource. Also, AskTanmay is a building block in the world of AI, and Watson makes it so that people without a PhD can use machine learning. But AskTanmay's goal is to make it so that people without a PhD can build their own QA systems, and it uses IBM Watson. Again, one more thing, it simplified that. Watson provides cognitive as a service. It's really simple to use cognitive computing now. However, AskTanmay's goal will be to provide QA systems as a service, and it's going to be extremely simple to use as well. And yeah, that brings me to the next point. I also have a sort of grand challenge for AskTanmay, which is, how Watson was able to play Jeopardy with Alex Trebek to sort of show the power of cognitive computing.
The Apple App Store. My next step was to then author a book on iOS development so others can learn programming and make their own apps as well. I then began to share my explorations with the world by speaking at conferences. And now, at 13 years old, I am a keynote speaker, an author, an algorithmist, and a YouTuber at Tanmay Teaches, since my goal is to help at least 100,000 aspiring beginners on their first steps to becoming programmers.
I like you must have a business card.
Oh, well, yes, I do. Thank you.
You do? At 13, you have your own business card. Okay, that's a nice start. I'll get in touch with you later.
Sure.
What do you do?
Oh, well, mainly, I like to call myself a software and cognitive developer because I love developing with cognitive computing and artificial intelligence. I'm an algorithmist. I love working with, designing, and implementing algorithms. I'm a keynote and TEDx speaker. I'm an author. I've written a book, and I'm working on another one about IBM Watson. And, of course, I'm also an IBM champion for cloud and honorary IBM cloud advisor.
Oh, where did
Hang
I
on
go
a second.
wrong?
Someone just get me a flannel card down. Do you go to school?
Well, I'm currently homeschooled in grade 8, going to grade 9 now.
Wow. Okay, so you're bright. Artificial intelligence, it's taking over the world. Is that fair to say?
Well, you see, that's actually one thing that I believe a lot of people have, the sort of misconception that artificial intelligence is this technology that was made to replace humans at really everything we do, whether it be, our jobs or whatever we do at home every day. But really what I believe is that artificial intelligence was developed and is continuing to be developed for the sole purpose of really augmenting our life and amplifying our skills or capabilities and what we can do every day.
But what about when the computers actually learn that they're better than us?
Well, you see, that's sort of called a singularity of artificial intelligence, at which point artificial intelligence has surpassed human intelligence to the point that we cannot control it. But really what I believe at this point, artificial intelligence, I won't go into the details right now since we're limited on time, but the thing is right now, artificial intelligence itself as a technology is so foolable and so primitive that either A, we won't reach that singularity point, or B, if we do, it's a very long ways off.
Do you understand that, Mark?
No. I couldn't. I wanted to take notes for the exam at the end of this.
You lost them in the first sentence.
Could I perhaps offer you a golf ball?
There you go. Thank you very much.
You do this YouTube channel, which you teach people. What is that all about, and who is your target audience?
Yeah, sure. Now, I actually have a YouTube channel called Tanmay Teaches that I've been running for around 6 years now, and it has over 144 videos and now 22,000 subscribers. And so on it, I love to teach about about computing, really programming, these algorithms that I develop, machine learning especially, math, science, and especially technologies like IBM Watson. Because, of course, I like to share my knowledge because I realize that there's this lack of resources for people to learn about technologies like AI, which is why I absolutely love sharing my knowledge through, of course, these YouTube videos, the books that I'm authoring, the keynotes that I have. And really, Watson comes in here in such a great way because Watson allows me...
What's Watson?
Sure.
Well, Mark thinks he's a golfer, but what is Watson?
Now, IBM Watson is essentially a cognitive system that allows developers to incorporate cognitive and machine learning into their applications without having to code in the actual intelligence. And what this means is that, of course, right now, really one of the main reasons developers aren't incorporating more machine learning into their apps is because it's so hard to do. It's really difficult to incorporate intelligence because...
Has the I'm going to take this somewhere else, this interview. Has the Homeschooling Association of the World got hold of you as the front person?
Well, there is actually a Homeschooling Legal Defense Association, I believe, HSLDA, in Canada, and I actually had a keynote for them last year in Niagara Falls.
You're the poster boy for homeschooling, aren't you?
Well, I did have a keynote for them, and I talked a lot about the advantages of homeschooling and why it's great for kids who want to go into different and really targeted subjects.
Okay, I want to get right down to business now. When did you realise you were bright and smart, and smarter than most?
Well, I originally started coding when I was 5 with simple languages like Fox Pro and Batch. But eventually, at 9 years old, I had my very first iOS app accepted into the Apple App Store called T-Tables.
But did your mum and dad do something to you between 0 and 5 that plug you into the wall? What did they do to you at 5? At 5, you were
Are you smarter than your mum and dad, by the way? Already?
Well, I have. My dad used to work as a computer programmer, but he used to work with simple regular programming languages like Fox Pro, Batch, a little bit of C, etc. But you see, now I'm really interested in artificial intelligence and how it can actually be implemented on all these different platforms.
You'd be a nightmare to teach. You'd be an absolute nightmare to teach, wouldn't you? Because you'll be smarter than the lecturers. You would
I never even want to get in an argument with you, ever.
But I would like to see you on a quiz show because I think you would nail that.
Well, you see, there is one thing that I've been working on, and it's essentially an app called AskTanmay, an NLQA system. And so essentially, it's a system that can take your natural language questions and answer them for you using Watson and artificial intelligence. And actually, the original reason why I made AskTanmay, there's an Indian version of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show called KBC, which I originally wanted AskTanmay to play. So that actually ties in quite a bit with what I wanted to do.
It's nice to see you. Do you get because you're homeschooling? You wouldn't go to school dances and things like that, would you? School socials and things. Do you get
well, I actually used to be regularly schooled until grade 6.
Right.
Then I became homeschooled, and so of course I still do have my
This
friends
is still
from
a
school.
victory for public schools.
Take that golf ball and bring it back to me when you've actually worked out a way in which it'll always go straight. Because I think you could do it.
Technically, using a genetic algorithm or something.
I knew there'd be an answer. Hey, it's brilliant to meet you. You're a complete inspiration.
Thank you.
And I hope my son was watching, a 7-year-old son. Message to Buster Gunn, you got work to do, mate. Do your homework, and we got to sharpen things up. Nice to see you.
Thank you very
much.
much.
All the very best.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Okay, news is next, and then we are joined by today's panel, which won't be as smart as this guy, but they'll still be good, and we will head back to the beach as well for a game of 9 and 10. So much pressure now on the contestant in 9 and 10 just to rip through it and get it right. That's coming up after 8.